1, 2.
Say anything?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm Marcus Smedman and I'm the CTO, Chief Technology Officer of Kindred.
I am Soren Thornlund, Head of Development at Kindred. The role is about overseeing the entire development department globally. So all of the developers and testers throughout the company in all of our locations are part of my organization. hooloovoo, the cooperation with hooloovoo, basically for both Marcus and I came with the acquisition of a company called iGame, who worked with hooloovoo for several years before that. At that point in time, we saw that there are very skilled people and a lot of talent inside hooloovoo. So we decided to continue that relationship together with hooloovoo and also grow it quite substantially over the last 4 years.
Pretty much said, give them something and we'll see how it goes. And it was amazing. And now we're here 4 years later with quite a big difference in setup when it comes to staff and people. So it's been great.
We see it growing. We see it growing both on the development side with developers, testers, Agile leads, product owners, all of that. I also see it growing in the entire tech area with big data developers, data pipeline developers and testers inside data warehouse and reporting, analytics and data science. I don't see why we shouldn't grow here as well. With that should then also follow all of the other functions that would be nice to have when you grow, like UX or other forms of business delivery functions. Absolutely. What we see is that, from my point of view, we're a global company. Developers sit in 9 locations, so we're necessarily distributed. Many teams will have developers and testers geographically distributed, but the intent and the way I see it working best is really to have cohesive teams working as closely as possible, where they sit. So if we can continue to build full end-to-end teams in Serbia, much like in every other location, that is definitely the aim. So I want to have full teams here. Then there will always be cases where people have unique skill set that we want to leverage in other teams, so they might be working as part of distributed teams for certain, but as many full teams we can have as possible, I think it's a benefit to us both. Absolutely. I mean, I would strongly argue that the track record that we have together shows that the trust goes both ways, and we collaborate in a really good way.
The company started 20 years ago, 21 years ago now really. It started off as a European bookmaking system online. Now, 20 years later, we are operating in the US since a month back, as well as in Australia. And we are operating 11 different brands across all these locations. So we supply a platform and a customer experience that can be enjoyed by a lot of customers, where we today have more than 1.2 million active customers on a quarterly basis across these 11 brands. The most famous brand, or the biggest brand, would be Unibet. And the company was founded with the name Unibet, but was renamed a couple of years back to cater for the fact that we are a house of brands these days. We are operating the 11 brands across the group, and we needed a new branding on the group, which was decided to be Kindred. So now we are 1,600 people across more than 10 offices, and we actually have tech staff in 11 of these offices today. So So in May this year, we just crossed the 500 mark. So we are more than 500 employees and consultants working for the tech department today. And it's a landmark.
I mean, it's 350 of those are developers and testers. And we have a very widespread organization. We take management and people and culture very seriously. We see that as one of our keys to successes is being able to take care of our people. So, of course, it's difficult operating a company on 11 locations, but we do it by having a flat structure and a culture of involvement.
We also invest a lot in the offices and the working environments we have. So we have new offices in Malta and Gibraltar, in Paris, in Stockholm over the last 3 years, and it's really appreciated by the staff. We also have a measure of attrition, where if you stay for 5 years, it would mean 20% attrition, so it's the amount of people that are leaving. And that is actually now in May down to sub 13%, which is something we're really proud of. So the challenge of finding the people is equally challenging to keep people in an industry like this. But we do whatever we can to get a good package for everyone, good working environment, and exciting and challenging projects to work on. We got awarded to be one of the top 50 best places to work in London last year. And that is obviously not only the tech department, but the whole office over there. And we see it as a huge achievement to be able to be recognized and to be on that level and be recognized by our staff that it is considered to be a really good place to work at.
For Kindred right now, I would say that scaling and growing our platform is where we do most of our work. We're multi-licensed, and we're also quite a global company with licenses in the US, as Marcus said, in Australia as well. So we work a lot on ensuring that our platform is scalable both geographically and with the growing customer base.
Sure, I can start off.
Yeah.
We came from a background where we, back in 2010, pretty much did 8 releases a year on one big piece of software, where we now, last year, with aid from a continuous delivery process and tools around it, could deliver more than 7,000 releases. So that means a lot of releases every day, and we can do that with maintained quality and compliance due to automation and tools to support us. It builds a very big and good flexibility into how we deliver our code, so we can ship often and small, reduce the risk, and empower the team to own the systems from idea all the way into production in a really good way.
I would say that one of the challenges is ensuring that it don't get overly shutty between groups of services. Also working with how you build frontends on top of a large distributed cluster of microservices. We're addressing that in a lot of different ways. I still think that the upside is well worth it. Just the fact that you don't have to have 4 o'clock in the morning release days with bags of candy instead. People push a button and out goes the release. That's such a huge win. So it's what took us here. That's for sure. Test automation is the only way that we can reach these numbers. And I would say that 7,000 is probably just a start. We don't do that number of releases just for a high count, because like Marcus say, it's all about risk management. By releasing small and releasing often, you are in full control of the changes that goes into production. But with the addition of the complexity of 10, 15 different licenses and 11 brands on top of those, it won't be humanly possible to manually test all of those features in every release that goes out every day. So it's absolutely necessary for us to have full test automation. It's the key to reaching this number. I would argue that we're very agile. We strongly believe in empowered teams and teams that can control their own life cycle. We do most of our releases are performed by one of the testers or developers inside the team, so they own everything end to end. As a company with that many licenses and brands, we certainly do want and need to have processes. So we have some strong processes internally that ensures also that we are compliant.
I think it's important not to put number of releases and weigh it towards number of issues or bugs or concerns. The smaller things you change, the less likely is it that you will introduce bugs. So it is from a risk-based perspective, it is to me something that reduces the risk by doing smaller changes, but also being able to do so many releases is showing a capability we have within our organization that we are delivering on the regulated requirements with high quality, with good customer experience, and can do this. You could do 10,000 releases that delivers no customer value. It depends what kind of releases you do. So it's important also to package it into deliverables that delivers change to our customers in a good way.
That's a really good question, and it's probably something that changes almost on a daily basis due to the fact that we try to stay very agile when it comes to team not being chaotic, but certainly being open to the fact that teams grow too big, so we divide them, areas need to be tweaked, so we reform teams. But development teams working on backlogs, I would say probably 25 to 30. And then we have a lot of infra teams and big data teams and teams in the general data area on top of that as well. So I would say 500 people, 10 per team, so probably around 50 teams.
We also have seen it, I think we can say that we've seen a trend and a shift from the last few years, over the last few years when it comes to having more of a team lead that is responsible for recruitment, career planning, strategic technical planning, implementation and everything, to focus more into or go in a direction where we have more line managers and then technical managers. So the line managers focus really on the people side of things, and the technical managers focus on a product or a service or a customer experience area. And that has given us the flexibility to scale more dynamically. It becomes a more complex organizational structure when you look at both the organization and the delivery flow through it, but it gives a better outcome in the end, and it's giving us more flexibility. So that's why you can see that it's difficult to see exactly how many teams we have even. It's a matrix.
The aim is to empower the teams as much as possible. There are certain processes that we require everyone to follow because it makes sense to us. There are things that we want to have done in certain order for our own sake, but also for regulatory reasons. We sort of have a set of technical tools that we like to use. We're focusing on Java for the backend services. We're focusing on React for the frontend, but apart from that, the teams are certainly empowered to not only trial out new technologies and verify them and work with them, but also defining how they design the systems, how they build them, and taking it from idea all the way to a full-on customer experience together with the experience that they are working with.
And I guess it's free for each and every team to decide if they want to go with sprints or work more Kanban style, or sort of how to deliver on it. They can choose what is best for them. It's a few things as you mentioned. Compliance is key. You can never sort of get away from that. And no license, no business. And security is super important. And then also the APIs and the interfaces you have between your team and your services towards others. So there's a few aspects that needs to be under control, and that's where we have the process to cater for that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us here.